We live in a day where people have a worldview and a Bible view. David represents the Bible view of God. Goliath represents the worldview. There are two views in the world that you're living in, the culture we're in today. And let me just show you some of the differences in those views. You know them, but let me just highlight them for you. The Christian view is the absolutes. The worldview, relativism. The Christian view is eternal. Worldview is passing, unimportant. The Christian view is history, God. The worldview is anti-historical. That's why you see a lot of things being torn down today, a lot of things being destroyed. It's anti-history. The worldview is the supernatural view is the Christian view. The worldview, naturalistic. The Christian view is idealistic. Do the right thing. The worldview is pragmatic. Do what you want to. If it feels good, if you like it, make up your own rules. Do what you want to do. And in that kind of a world, we're living, a Goliath world that has an anti-God view. And when that happens, it can even infiltrate the church. I was preaching in a church some time ago on a Sunday morning, and I was preaching about things that God cares about. And it wasn't about, it's kind of not a 4th of July message, but along that line. And it wasn't about taxes. It wasn't about the military. It wasn't about anything. It was just about, here are 3 things that whenever you vote, here's some things you ought to consider. Religious liberty, marriage, the way God sees it, and the beauty and the preciousness and sacredness of life. So I thought, hey, I'm just preach this. Well, some people got up and started leaving. Well, I thought, well, maybe they had to go look after a child or go to the bathroom or something. You know, you don't have time to analyze people leaving when you're preaching. I just saw them leave. When the service is over, several people come approaching me. One guy comes up and he gets right in my face. And he said, don't preach that stuff around here. I said, what? He said, that's political. I said, it's political? I said, it's in the Bible. No, don't you dare preach that in the second service. We don't want to hear that kind of stuff. You preach the Bible and not politics. I said, sir, I quoted the Bible. I didn't take anything out of context. And he and some of the people around said, you don't do that in the second service. You just don't preach that in this church. So they left. Well, I did preach it in the second service. I just went on and preached it anyway. And so when the service is over, some of the people came up and said, we're sorry, Pastor. I said, well, what's going on here? I said, this is what I preach in Orlando. I preach it, or I go different places. They said, well, I'll tell you what's happening. They said, you don't understand. Our last pastor for the last 10 years, we never heard a thing about abortion. We never heard a thing about religious liberty. We never heard a thing about the sacredness of marriage and man and woman. We never heard it. Never mentioned here. Those people that got mad didn't know what you're talking about because they never had heard it. It's a church, a Baptist church. So I'm saying we're living in a world that the church even has become, apostasy is set in, even in supposedly evangelical churches. We're living in that kind of a culture. And as one man has said, in this kind of a culture, a nation that sanctifies the profane will end up profaning the sacred. In that kind of a world, you and I must function. And when we understand that that's the world we're living in, it's a world with a linear, horizontal view instead of a lifestyle and a life committed to a vertical view, a relationship with God.